AITA for thinking my next-door neighbor is watching me? I, 29M, moved into a small duplex about 8 months ago. It's quiet, cheap, and close to work. My next-door neighbor, Alan, maybe late 40s or early 50s, lives alone. No car most of the time, no visible friends. He's polite. Almost too polite. At first, I didn't think much of him. He introduced himself the day I moved in, shook my hand for a beat too long, and said, "I'm glad someone finally moved in. I don't like empty spaces." I laughed it off. Weird phrasing, but whatever. Things started getting uncomfortable a few weeks later. Alan seems to know my schedule. Not in a casual, "oh, you work mornings" way, but in a specific way. He'll say things like, "late shift today?" when I'm walking out the door at 6 p.m. Or, "you got home earlier than usual," when I come back before midnight. I've never told him my work hours. Then there's the staring. Whenever I leave my place, his blinds move. Not dramatically, just enough. If I take my trash out, he's suddenly on his porch. If I come home late, his lights flick on as soon as my car door shuts. Once I tested it. I went outside, pretended I forgot something, went back in, then came out again 10 minutes later. Same thing. Porch light, door creak, silence. I started noticing small stuff too. My doormat shifted, packages arriving already opened, but nothing missing. My Wi-Fi dropped twice, and when it came back, the network name had been changed to something slightly different, like someone tried to connect and messed up. When I mentioned the Wi-Fi thing to Alan casually, he smiled and said, "Oh, that happens sometimes in older buildings." I never told him it was Wi-Fi. Last week, I came home to find a note taped to my door. It just said, "You forgot to lock up this morning." I did lock the door. I always do. So, AITA for thinking my neighbor is watching me? Or am I spiraling over coincidence? Part 2. Update. I confronted him, and now I feel unsafe. I didn't expect the response I got. A lot of people told me this was either paranoia or the beginning of something much worse. Enough of you told me to trust my gut that I decided to say something. I wish I hadn't. 2 nights ago, I saw Alan outside again when I got home. He was standing on his porch in the dark, not smoking, not on his phone, just standing there, waiting. I asked him calmly if he'd been leaving notes on my door. He didn't deny it. He said, "I was just looking out for you." I asked how he knew I'd forgotten to lock my door. He paused, smiled, then said, "I notice things." I told him that made me uncomfortable, that I wanted privacy, that I didn't appreciate him watching my place. That's when his tone changed. He said, "I'm not watching you. I'm watching the space around you. There's a difference." I laughed nervously and said I didn't know what that meant. He leaned closer and said very quietly, "You don't need to." I went inside and locked every door and window. Later that night, around 2 a.m., I heard someone in the shared hallway. Slow footsteps, stopping outside my door, standing there. I didn't open it. I didn't breathe. I just listened. After a few minutes, the footsteps walked away. The next morning, I found another note. "You're safer when I know where you are." I've started sleeping with my phone in my hand. I told my landlord, who said Alan has always been a little odd, but hasn't technically broken any rules. I installed a cheap camera facing my door. Last night, I checked the footage. At 3:17 a.m., Alan stood outside my door for almost 3 minutes. He didn't knock. He didn't move. He just stood there. Part 3. Final update. I don't know if I overreacted. I packed a bag. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I stayed with a friend across town and didn't go home for 2 days. I needed space to think, to calm down, to decide if I was blowing this out of proportion. Yesterday evening, I went back to my apartment. Alan's door was open. Inside, his apartment was empty. No furniture, no personal items, just clean walls and carpet like no one had lived there in months. On the counter was a single envelope. My name was on it. Inside was a printed photo of my front door, from inside the hallway, dated 2 weeks ago. Under it, written in pen, "You left before I could explain." I grabbed my stuff and left immediately. Here's the part I don't know what to make of. This morning, my landlord called me. He sounded confused. He asked why I'd been asking about the vacant unit next door. According to him, no one named Alan has lived there in over a year. No lease, no records, no forwarding address. The camera footage from my door? Corrupted. Every clip from the past week is gone, except one. A still frame from 3:17 a.m., my door. No one standing outside it. So Reddit? AITA for assuming something was wrong? Or did I imagine all of this?